Buckle your seatbelts. Secure all loose articles of clothing and keep your hands up high for this one. Because in Jesus we find a king who washes feet. A king who kneels before his friends. A king who rules by serving. A king who heals the sick. A king who feeds the hungry. A king who gives sight to the blind. A king who reaches out and touches the untouchable. A king who welcomes the outsider. A king who sits and eats with sinners. A king who breaks bread with the unworthy. A king who seeks out those whom society rejects. A king who notices the unseen. A king who crosses to the other side of the road to see those who are overlooked. A king who calls fishermen before he calls scholars. A king who invites doubters to draw near. A king who gives second chances and then gives them again and again and again. A king who restores the fallen. I ain't done yet. A king who speaks truth to power. A king who calls out the self-righteous and the religious. A king who refuses to exploit power. A king who lays power down for love. A king who weeps with the grieving. A king who stands with the brokenhearted. A king who calls us beloved before we're even made whole. A king who forgives his enemies. A king who bears wounds for our healing. A king who carries a cross for our freedom. A king who lays down his life. A king whose crown is thorns. A king whose victory looks like sacrifice. But a king whose reign shall never end. A king whose crown is thorns, yet whose reign will never end. This is love that no government, no empire, no business could ever imitate. And more importantly than anything else, this is light that no darkness can ever extinguish. Because love was fulfilled in Christ. You see, here is where David's story meets heaven's glory.